It's too much going on in the world right now to do something serious. I ain't got the time for it. You ain't got the time for it. So we're not going to do it to ourselves. We're going to do something fun. Play some music. What is going on? What is happening? What is BEA, beautiful ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, JL Dub. And I want to thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of Stand On Business, episode 60. Now, right here, it's going to sound like I say 62, but just know 63 is what I say. So today we're going to talk about two things. Two things that I thought were of kind of interest, or at least were interesting, fascinating. First one, though, requires you to watch something with me. The moment a thought pops up, you stop the video, you say something, and I'll do the same thing. Ready? Cool, let's start.
Uno mas, thanks.
Gotta get the thing off the top away. There we go. There we go. Here we go.
Uno mas, thanks.
I've got thoughts. I've got thoughts. My thought is this. As we know, Karl Urban was announced as the new Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. The thought that I have is this. I like Karl Urban. I thought he was really good in Doom. I liked him in the Doom movie that nobody seemed to like, the one with The Rock. I thought he did a good job playing Reaper. And this would have been the perfect time for him to have been Johnny Cage. Me personally, I would have never cast him as Johnny Cage. I just don't think he gives off the right level of egotistical, humorous bravado. To me, he's a little bit more serious and grounded than a Johnny Cage. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's watch the rest of the trailer and find out.
You're Johnny Cage. I loved Citizen Cage when I was a kid.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
They should do a reboot.
Nobody wants that. Shit went out in the 90s.
Johnny Cage, you have been chosen to fight.
Tell me you're not some crazy fans. How are you doing that?
Are you coming or what?
I gotta stop it again, though. I don't think I've stressed strongly enough how much it takes you out to see Johnny Cage. So y'all remember the original Mortal Kombat, which to me, actually F it to the world, is the best Mortal Kombat to come out. The original Mortal Kombat with Robin Shou, and let me go look at the cast actually. Hold on. Robin Shou and this one right here. Forget the whole it's only got 5.1 stars. We're wrong. This is the best Mortal Kombat to come out. Objectively, it's not a good film. I can recognize that. However, I can put this movie on right now. I can come in your home right now, unannounced, sit down on your couch, put this on, and I guarantee you're going to agree with me. It's a fun watch. This cast, Christopher Lambert as Raiden, Robin Shou as Liu Kang, more importantly, Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage. There is a very poignant point to be made that Hollywood needs to pay attention to with this cast. Now, I don't know the background of all of these stars. Like, I don't know before this movie how established they were. But one of the things that I feel like I'm noticing is executives are afraid to take a chance on newcomers in the industry. They want actors who have already had a string of either box office successes or box office movies under their belt, instead of going, this individual here can act, and I'm going to give them a chance, which is why I think this movie, Mortal Kombat 2, is kind of miscast in the sense that I like Karl Urban, as I said, but he seems way too old for this part. It seems like we're meeting Karl maybe 10 years too old for this role, especially if we're talking about building a franchise when the first film was meh to begin with. I personally think that the first film was okay. I get the hate towards some of the characters. Like, I don't think Cole was a great addition, not because of the actor. I thought the actor did a fine job with what he was given. I just think that in terms of his arc, it was no good. Nobody really cared. He added nothing new to the story on top of a world that has so many characters already established and so much lore underexplored that it's like, why are you trying to add something new? Just take one of the damn established characters that we don't have that many live action movies for, especially good ones. Annihilation being the second film, not that great. We only have one really decent movie, this one, the one that's my favorite. So it's like, you really have a clean slate to do so many cool things. Sadly, because I hate when people start judging people for their ages and, you know, getting older and the wrinkles, I think that aging is beautiful. But for a brand like this, I would want a younger star. I would want somebody in their 20s. It's the same thing that we saw with the Uncharted series, right? Nathan Fillion was definitely meant to be Drake in a live action movie, without a doubt. We knew for the longest time since I was in high school, maybe a little after, that was the man that was going to bring Nathan Drake to the big screen. And there were rumors about who was going to play Sully. And then you also had Mark Wahlberg up for consideration for the role of Nathan Drake. What happened? Oh, we casted Tom Holland for the role of Nathan Drake. Why? Because he was a young star that could bring the youth, but also the charisma and the energy needed to carry a franchise like that. Now, regardless of how you think about Tom Holland and what he did with the film, the point is, Nathan Fillion ended up being actually, I don't even think he was in that movie. No, he didn't even make it to the movie. But Mark Wahlberg ends up getting cast as Sully, the older mentor type character, because we recognize that as great as Mark Wahlberg is, he can't play a young Nathan Drake, or the Nathan Drake that we would need to see on the big screen. So I don't understand why when they look at the first one and go, this did not do well, they go, you know what would save this? Let's make the focal point Johnny Cage, but make Johnny Cage near retirement age. Back to the trailer.
Where the hell am I?
It's called Mortal Kombat. It's a fighting tournament. To the death.
Okay, hold on. Who was that? Who was it just got their ish broken off? Is that Cole? Somebody right here is getting Shao Kahn real bad here. And I can't tell that. No, okay. I thought the armor was Cole's armor. The thing that I will say about the casting, though, because I feel like there's a few characters that were kind of miscast. The two best ones to me, who like perfectly match up with their characters, are that we can go back
to the
see.
Death. It's a fighting tournament. It's called Mortal Kombat.
Am I?
It's called Mortal Kombat.
Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade looks perfectly cast for her role. I think she does a good job in personifying the role. As far as the acting goes, I don't care. When I see her, I go, okay, I believe that's Sonya Blade.
Combat. It's a fight.
Katana. Katana looks character pro for her role. She looks like an individual that if I saw on the big screen, I would go, that's Katana.
Tournament.
So far, so good. Except for Johnny being too damn old. I don't know who this is, but they were getting effed up.
Fuck that.
This is a war.
Okay, so we're getting Kung Lao back. Looks like a Shadow Realm or some sort like that, where Liu Kang is getting to see his brother again. Because obviously in the first movie, in case you haven't seen it, spoilers, Kung Lao dies. But Liu Kang is another individual that I want to talk about when it comes to casting. I think the actor, and I can't remember his name, is it Ludi Lin? Ludi Lin, I think, right? Who's a phenomenal martial artist and in great shape. I think he was... I've seen him only in Power Rangers and Mortal Kombat. I liked him in Power Rangers. I don't necessarily care for him as Liu Kang. And I think the only reason is, again, going back to what these characters should feel like on the screen. Liu Kang always gave off more of a young Jackie Chan type energy, which is why Robin Shou... I'm saying that right. To me, was the perfect embodiment of Liu Kang. He had the physical build, but also there was a toughness to him, right? That just matched what you felt when you played the games. An individual that you don't want to mess with, right? He never comes off as a guy that's like timid or that you know that you could easily take down in a bar fight. There is a lot of assertive energy when it comes to Liu Kang. With Ludi, although physically he's got the body, there's in the facial region, there's just a softness, right? I'm not saying that the individual is soft. I don't know the man. He'd probably kick my ass any day of the week. But when you see him on the screen, I don't get that same assertiveness that I feel like should be inherent to a Liu Kang type character. So I also feel like I would have moved him to a different role, but that's neither here nor there.
This is a war for the fate of your world. You dickheads in or what?
You saw Cole is back. Cole's got the armor back. And man, he got so much backlash for that first film, right? And it sucks for the actor who is relatively new. And I guess they did give us a new guy and try to put a franchise on it, but unfortunately they went about it the wrong way. In that, again, there's an established franchise with established lore and established characters. And the first thing y'all decide to do is, let's make up a new character. And by the way, his superpower is he gets armor.
More arms. Or shoot lightning bolts.
Raiden's cool, I guess.
It's got nothing to do with me. I'm an actor.
I find you annoying.
Not the face.
I mean, that was badass. Baraka looks great. I will give them that. I think they did a really good job here with Baraka. The thing about some of these characters, when you finally see them on the big screen, is that you want to feel kind of a little bit of fear, apprehension when these guys come on screen. You want to feel like, ooh, I don't know if our hero's going to be able to take them down. But more importantly, I don't think our hero's going to be the same after fighting this individual. Like, you want to feel scared of what this thing could do to your hero, which is why Goro is such a fun character on the big screen when he gets his moments, because not many individuals are going to be able to go up against Goro and walk away unscathed, even individuals as skilled as Liu Kang. Baraka looks great. I love this. I like the way he sounds. I like the way he looks. Everything about this seems great. But again, I'm just taken out of it the moment I see Johnny, because Johnny looks so out of place compared to some of these characters.
Not the face.
I'm guessing Jade, right? Yeah. Jade looks fine.
It's time.
Hiroyuki Sanada, I hope I'm saying that right, as Scorpion, to me was the perfect choice. Like, this is an individual that you would watch in almost any role, but whenever he takes on something that has like Japanese tendencies or like has that traditional feel to it, he rocks it. And so the first scene that we get, is it the first scene? Yeah, I think it's the opening scene in the Mortal Kombat 1 where we're introduced to his family, right? And he's living in, I guess, feudal Japan, or in a time where, you know, things are more traditional. I'm immersed immediately because he just has that ability to do that. And I would have watched not a whole movie. Well, I would have watched a whole separate movie with him in a role similar to that. We need a new Scorpion. I don't know how they're going to bring this guy back, but I would never let him go either, because he's just, like I said, the best part, I think, of the film so far.
It's time to become the hero you were meant to be. All right, you big ugly fuck.
Look at Liu Kang, man. He's got the build, man. And he's got this monk, but there's a monk. There's more like a Buddha type energy to him, which I guess some people are going to be like, no, that's what he's supposed to be. They're a peaceful monk. They study martial arts, but for peace, not for aggression. I get that. But when I'm talking about Liu Kang, maybe he was a little bit different to me. He just felt like a dude that at any point could whoop your ass, right? So it wasn't always this, like, I don't know, this default expression of just softness. Everybody in this, like, look at this picture. When you look at it, really look at it, who stands out to you? Who do you go, like, they just kind of take me out of this? Look at the age gap between Johnny, what Johnny looks like right here, what Liu looks like, and what Sonya looks like. Liu and Sonya, they look about the same. This makes sense. Johnny has wrinkles upon wrinkles.
Shoot lightning bolts. This shit's got nothing to do with me. I'm an actor.
It's very boring, generic score. It's just like what you would hear if you were in a movie theater watching the trailers play through, and it's like, oh, there's another film. If this didn't have the name Mortal Kombat attached to it, it's like it would just be dull. You know what I'm saying? Like, this deserves an actual, like, either song or, again, we need a new remix on the Mortal Kombat theme. Whatever this background is, I just miss me with it.
I find you annoying.
Not the face.
I don't even get that response. I find you annoying. Not the I mean, maybe that's one of their... Probably something close in the game.
It's time to become the hero you were meant to be. All right, you big ugly fuck. It's showtime.
Get over here!
I love it. Let's get some noob in here. I love it. I love everything.
Finish him!
Are you shitting me? You don't have any pounds?
Just incredibly handsome.
I want to love this trailer more. There are some good things about it, right? Like, it looks good. It looks like a big budget movie, but I also feel like this is one of those things where you can remind people, hey, you don't have to throw millions and millions of dollars at these damn properties to make it a success. Give us a good damn story and a faithful story. That's all people are asking for. And take a chance. For the love of God, take a chance on some new damn blood, because I'm watching this entire thing and all I can think is, this man looks too damn old to be the lead in anything. This does not scream action movie. Like, this doesn't scream Mortal Kombat. It screams retiree. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm just feeling a little. Let's see what the comments are saying here. And this is the it's posted from the official Mortal Kombat YouTube account. Let's see here. Scorpion pulling Noob Shadow Clone out was insane. It's a fighting tournament to the death. F that. The most realistic dialogue in any fighting movie ever. I hope they gave Carl Urban's stunt double a quadruple raise. I'm in the minority. People are finding the bits that they enjoy, which I think is what you should do when it comes to artwork because it's so hard to create. People are finding the moments, and it seems to be heavily focused on Noob and the Scorpion fight. I didn't hear much love for anything else, right? You heard my thoughts, so I'm going to leave it there. I am cautiously optimistic. I will be seeing this because, like I said, I've been waiting for a minute. I thought Mortal Kombat 2 should solidify what should be a blockbuster movie franchise, but we shall see. Hopefully I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Moving on to the second topic, and this one will be a lot quicker. So I don't know if you heard, but a while back it was announced that they were going on tour. I say they like y'all know who the hell they is, but there was a group of individuals that were going to go on tour, and they were going to have a special guest with them. And that guest was not a musician. It wasn't an actor. It wasn't a comedian. No, it was none other than that creepy ass haunted doll known as Annabelle. Not that Annabelle from the Conjuring universe, a much cuter looking Annabelle doll. One that honestly reminds me of like the Raggedy Ann doll. If y'all don't know, the story goes, the Conjuring universe is based off of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were real life paranormal investigators. I believe Lorraine, I think in real life was considered a psychic or could get feels for certain things. And I don't really know what Ed's, we can look at his background, what their backgrounds were. We can do some actual digging here. Let's see here. Paranormal investigators and authors. Edward was a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer, while Lorraine professed to be a clairvoyant and a light trance medium. So the story basically goes that in the 1970s, there was two roommates who ended up, I think one of them got a doll mailed to her from her mother, right? Because the girl collected dolls or like stuffed animals and stuff. And upon accepting the doll into their home, they started noticing odd things, nothing as crazy as what we saw in the movies, but for example, they would put the doll in a certain section of the room, so say on a rocking chair in the corner, and they would come home to find that the doll had moved to the living room or moved to upstairs, or in one particular instance, they said that the doll, which if you look at it is a very flimsy looking doll, was knelt down, prayed up in front of a chair. So it started to freak them out. And eventually, they were also finding like letters. They were like notes left on old parchment paper that they said they do not own in that house. That would be left around their house, and it would say things like help me, or help. They'd say a name, stuff like that. So eventually, it freaked them out so much that they decided to consult the help of a medium, and the medium connected with something. And it was said that the medium basically said that you have a young girl that used to live on this property, and she died here, and she likes you two. She thinks that she can relate to y'all very well, and in particular, she's really fascinated with your doll, and so she would like to know if she could stay with y'all by inhabiting the doll. So the girls, along with I think one of their boyfriends or a friend of theirs, was a guy, had a decision to make. Do we allow this thing to inhabit the doll? And they told the medium yes. Even after the guy said don't do that, they were like, yeah, it's fine, well, why not? So they end up saying yes to it. The medium leaves, and they're like, okay, well, now we'll just live a life where there's a third person in our home. They just happen to live in the doll. Well, things seem to take on a darker tone, where they would go into certain rooms and they could just always feel this presence, this dark energy around them. And in particular, the boy who would be over there, and I can't remember what his relationship to them was, but the doll really didn't seem to like him, and he was the one that, like, he recounts one time sleeping on the couch, and as he was sleeping on the couch, he awoke, and I think it was something like 4 p.m., and it was really, really dark outside, darker than what it should have been for 4 p.m., and as he looked down at his feet, he saw the doll, and the doll started to climb up his leg, up towards his chest, and then got to his neck, and for some reason he couldn't move. Then the doll began to strangle him, and then he woke up and looked around, and there was nobody there. A second incident happened that was way more something out of the movies, like, was him and I think the girl whose whose mom sent the doll were at home, I think. Again, fact check me. But they were at home and they heard something from upstairs from one of the rooms. And they're like, hey, is that other girl here? And they're like, nope, pretty sure not. So the guy goes upstairs to check. And when he enters the room, all he finds is the Annabelle doll. And next thing you know, the girl hears screaming from upstairs. And so she runs upstairs and she finds the guy bleeding from his chest, begging for her help. She takes him back downstairs and she takes off his shirt, and he's got these long, jagged scratch marks across and down his chest. And that was kind of the final moment of like, oh, no, this isn't right. They end up calling Ed and Lorraine in. Well, actually, they end up going to a priest. Priest is skeptic at first. Obviously, he would be. I don't believe y'all. Then he hears about the scratches, and he's like, okay, I think I know some people. Let me give him a call. So he calls Ed and Lorraine. Ed and Lorraine show up. They go to the house. At first, Lorraine is not able to pick up anything. No dark vibes, no dark energy. They sit down and they interview the girls, ask them like what's happened, start from the beginning. So they recount the story, and basically they surmise that the doll was not actually possessed, and there was no actual little girl in the house. What had happened was a demon somehow became attached to the house or became attached to the family, and it was looking for a way to be let into their lives, because as we're told, demons may exist, but they can't really do much if you follow basic tenets like 1, you don't acknowledge a demon's presence. 2, you don't try to communicate with a demon, which is all things they've all done. 1, acknowledging the presence of the thing. 2, using a medium to connect with the demon, which the Warren said that the medium must have actually became a conduit for the demon to speak to them. And then 3, giving it permission to stay, essentially by telling it, yeah, you can live in the doll. So they were like, if you had waited about a week, I think y'all would all be dead. They end up taking possession of the doll, and even on the way home, weird things start to happen. It's told to us that the Warrens experienced like several issues with their brake, several issues with the car stalling, and then when they finally got it home, it was still doing kind of weird things around their own home. They said they would see like a black cat materialize beside it. They realized that it had its own like familiar. I think they also mentioned that it would also be, they put it one place and they would find it in another place. And then they had a priest friend that came over, and he kind of took it less serious than them. And one of the things that the Warrens were very careful about was picking up the doll. I think they always had gloves on or like something to bear as a barrier between their skin and the doll. And the priest, not really caring, picked up the doll and was kind of like, oh, you won't hurt a thing, will you? You're just a doll. And this is when Ed was home, and he was like, hey, I really think you should not do that. Like, not a good idea. Priest wasn't listening. Eventually, Priest ends up leaving, and then they find out like 3 hours later that he was involved in a really, really bad car accident and barely survived. So, as the story goes, because the doll would not stop being so kind of antagonistic in their household, they decide to create Ed and somebody else create an actual box that's blessed and has a cross attached to the top of it. They put the doll in it, they moved it downstairs, and the rumor we get is that they consider it their most haunted, most dangerous item in that collection of horror that they have in their basement or had in their basement. Well, that doll, recently some individuals thought it would be a good idea to take that damn thing on tour across the country for individuals to get an up close and personal look with, because what are we if stupid and brazen and love to play with the other side? What I thought was interesting about this is, or what the world thought was interesting about this, was what was reported recently, the Dan Rivera case. And essentially what happens is this. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera, who was traveling with the doll, was found dead amid a national tour with the Annabelle doll, a known inspiration for the Conjuring films. And this is from E! News. New details about the mysterious death of Dan Rivera have been revealed. We'll read a good portion of this. A week after the paranormal investigator was found dead in his Gettysburg hotel room amid a national tour with the Annabelle doll, an allegedly haunted object that inspired the Conjuring franchise, a Pennsylvania coroner has shared whether the toy was in the room at the 50-year-old time of death. Francis Dutroux, the coroner in charge of Rivera's case, told CNN July 17th that the doll, a Raggedy Ann toy that is thought to be possessed by the spirit of a little girl, was not present in the room where Rivera was found dead. The coroner's confirmation comes just days after Ghost Hunters alum Jason Hawes, who starred on the Paranormal series from 2004 to 2016, slammed those suggesting there was correlation between the haunted object and Rivera's tragic death. Recently, the world lost a good man, he says. Dan Rivera was an Army veteran, a father of 4, a husband, and someone who truly cared about people. What's even harder to see right now are the posts blaming this death on things like the Annabelle doll. So I read this story and I was like, oh, that makes for good clickbait, right? Like an individual taking what is considered one of the most haunted objects in the world, on tour and then tragically dies. Like, you can already see how people are going to take that and add it to the legend that is the Annabelle doll and run with that. And I'm sure years from now, when it's no longer respectable, or when it's no longer so disrespectful, they'll probably include something like this in a movie and claim that it's to honor, the actual person, Dan Rivera. Because as far as I know, this is the only individual to actually have died, and somehow it being connected to the Annabelle doll. The things that I want to focus on real quickly is, one, whether or not we believe in the supernatural, whether or not we believe the doll was haunted. I'm going to say, from my point of view, I don't believe the doll is haunted. I think it's a fun story. I think that we are obsessed with the supernatural for a host of reasons. One of those being that we all have a fascination and fear concerning death and what's on the other side. So we tell ourselves stories to comfort ourselves. Even stories that are fear-based or anxiety-ridden still offer some sense of there's something more than what this world is. So there's no reason to 1,000% fear death, right? And with the Annabelle in particular, outside of what I just said there's also the fact that the Warrens told the girls when they took the doll itself is not actually possessed. It's not evil, right? I had a pretty close relationship with God as a child, spending summers with my grandmother, who was a heavily religious woman, and, her making sure that we stayed in Sunday school, and sometimes I think it was like Bible study, and then the early morning classes that you have to take before actual church, and all of that. Got to experience all of that fun stuff. And then as I got older, I kind of pulled back away from the church for a multitude of reasons. One, I don't like the judgmental side of a religion. Two, I believe that we come to our own relationship with God, and that means that I don't necessarily have to abide by the rules that are prescribed to me by an individual or a group that I have no personal relationship with. Three, I don't like the things that we are preached about, are told about, but then we see too many examples of individuals not living by that same rule. And, I'm not the one to sit here and say, like, I'm holier than thou, and Lord knows I got some effed up skeletons in my closet. But at the same time, to sit up on a pulpit and try and tell somebody, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt repent, thou is full of sin, and then you cheating on your wife or you touching on little boys, like, it just made it really hard for me to stay close with the church. Point being that I do come from a religious family and things like that. So I do believe in something. I believe in a God, and I believe that there is more to life after death. However, but for me to believe in the good of things, right, and believing that there's a heaven, there's a place that you go to afterwards that conceptually is better than the place that we are currently living in. Maybe not floating on clouds, but maybe a few more good people around you. To believe in something like that, I do believe that you have to believe in the inverse as well. So there has to be something to counter that, because there's nothing in this world that doesn't have a positive and equal reaction, right? We've learned that in science class. So if there's a good, then I do believe that there is evil. We've seen it not just, I haven't seen the evil supernaturally, but we've seen the evil in just humanity and in human nature, and the things that we can do to each other, things that we can do to our families, the things we can do to our friends, to our community. So we know that evil exists in the world. Now we're taking another leap, or not a big leap for me, in believing that there are things that are unexplainable to us that could be evil in nature. I say that all to say, although I don't believe that the Raggedy Ann doll is possessed, and I don't believe that it had anything to do with this individual's death, that's not to say that there are not things in this world that we just shouldn't play with. When you start playing around with things and spirits and phrases that are older than us, and connection methods that nobody really has a basis as to how it got started, I think you risk the chance of interacting with something that you just won't understand. And what's interesting to me about that is that if these individuals go into this business knowing that evil and good is real, or at least some virtue of positive and negative energy exist, why would you constantly surround yourself with that? Like, why would you think that it would be okay to interact with this thing and walk away unscathed? Oh, what is that movie? It's Grave Encounters. If you haven't seen this and you're a horror fan, I definitely highly recommend it. It is found footage, but the first one is so good. It starts off a little bit slow, but it starts off slow in the right way, where it's a group of individuals who are quote unquote paranormal investigators, right? And they go to an abandoned mental hospital. And in the mental hospital, there was, rumors of like experiments being conducted on the patients and like just evil energy being there. So they get there, and the whole goal is to spend the night in this thing, because apparently that's when things start to get tricky. They can't leave this hospital, and it gets so like, I just think it's a really well done horror film, found footage horror film, and so believable. And like, this is how people would really react. You wouldn't go to a place if you really believed it was haunted and possible for it to murder you. But once you find out that it is, it's too late to leave. But that's it, y'all. Those are kind of two interesting things that I just wanted to talk about that were like nothing serious, but just kind of a distraction from some of the other things going on in the world. I'm sure we got way more serious topics to talk about here. And who knows if we'll do that next week or when we'll do it. But I know for now, right now, I just want to have fun. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you all so much for watching. I was your host, JLW. And guess what? I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Stand On Business. Make sure you check out some other videos on the channel, like our 100 greatest movies for 2000s kids. Episodes 1 and 2 are up, and that's the 90s and the 80s list, and 70s list is coming up soon. We also got some playthroughs of Darkwood and I think something other game, but anyway, check out the stuff on the channel. I appreciate y'all. Let me know your thoughts on Mortal Kombat 2 trailer below, as well as maybe if you believe in the supernatural or not. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.